Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the NFL podcast Laces Out. No guests this week, but me and Paul can handle it, don't you worry. Even if somebody maybe might have got the audio wrong at the start. So, a little bit quiet, but you'll know when it's right, because, there's a whole thing about getting the audio right. Anyway, you'll know what I mean. If you're checking us out on, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, you can subscribe as well. But you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, because that's the beauty of it. Please do, it means a lot to us. Right, here we go. This is CookieCast, Laces Out. So there you go. Recording in progress. I mean, it doesn't look overly in progress, but maybe that's just me.
There's also a little map on the tweet. Oh, sorry, that's two together.
I'm just looking at the audio side of things, starting to wonder if something's gone horribly wrong. But anyway, people can just turn us up or turn us down, like in the nightclubs. There you go. It's that time of the week, and that could mean anything on this podcast network. It could mean literally anything. What it does mean is that we are without a guest this week. Largely because I think it was one of those weeks where we were never going to get the guests if we had guests. It's the NFL podcast. It's Laces Out, the only way to kick a football known to man. I'm here, and my glamorous co-host Paul Williams is there, and we're going to talk NFL football. We're going to talk about it really fast, so that people don't work out that one of us doesn't know what they're talking about. Now then, no guest means that we had to do a little bit of monkey jiggery pokery. But what it does mean is that we can reach out into our wider network and still get lovely, lovely predictions. I believe not only game predictions, I believe season-long predictions. That must mean it's somebody who's not been on. More fun. Can I just very quickly ask you to hold on 1 second? Because I think I might have worked out what's going wrong on my end. 1 second.
Recording in progress.
There you go, you see. Using completely the wrong microphone setup. I tested it and everything, but when you test things, it doesn't work as a test when it's only picking you up. It's only when the other person chimes in do you realise that you're getting none of the other person. So if you've been listening to Paul whispering through this, going, "What's he whispering for?" No, it's because the guy driving the boat is drunk, or other things. Anyway, there, we're back. We're on. Go.
So, like I said, there was for the YouTube watchers. Obviously, there's an awful lot of me doing this and potentially not hearing many sounds. So, what I was saying was, technically we have a guest, but that guest is neither visible nor hearable.
Hither or nither.
For the current recording. So it is our 6th guest of the season. It is a member of the Fantasy League, and it is the aforementioned stats mistress of the NFL podcast. It is Miss Leanne Davies. So, Leanne has picked her Super Bowl matchup as the Green Bay Packers to take on the Baltimore Ravens. She has gone with a Packers win and an MVP performance by Mr. Aaron. What was the word he used? Immunised Rodgers. That was it. So yeah, Green Bay versus Baltimore. Packers to win, Rodgers to the MVP. And for her season-long MVP pick, she has gone in a similar fashion to Mr. Matthew Moore and has picked Tom Brady of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be the season-long most valuable player.
He can't be most valuable player for the season because he's going to get the Super Bowl MVP when he takes the Bucs to back-to-back Super Bowl wins. Obviously, having got that big win at the week. I've gone wrong, haven't I? That was a different week where the Bucs didn't get destroyed by a much lesser team. But anyway, we'll get to that very shortly. In fact, it feels like we might get that right here and now. Right here and now. Right here. Right now. That song. Yeah, let's talk about the games. Because there were some funny old games in the week gone. As I may have alluded to, what I saw today when it was abbreviated, and I thought it was the WTF. I was like, hang on a minute, no, it's not. It's the WFT. And somehow they need to work that around. The Washington football team. I mean, what?
Yeah.
The Washington football team beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah. Do you know what? Do you know what it is? I honestly think Tom Brady's kryptonite is NFC East teams. The 3 Super Bowls he's lost, 2 were against the New York Giants, and the other one was against the Philadelphia Eagles. He also has lost games against the I'm pretty sure he's been beaten by the Cowboys before. And obviously he's now lost against the Washington football team. So there's just something about the NFC East that Tom Brady just doesn't like. So
I believe I saw something that said that he gave a less than 1 minute press conference. He is the truest definition of a sore loser. You know, if ever you need a reason to not like him, there's one of many. Other such upsets. Not a great weekend to be a Seahawks fan. Everybody rejoiced at the return of Russell Wilson, and the Green Bay Packers rejoiced at the return of Aaron Rodgers. And apparently, Russell Wilson did not return to the Seahawks, as they got shut out. Which, I don't want to jump all over the stats just yet, but I think the words, and Vince, if you're listening, first time ever might appear somewhere in the stats to do with that game and that particular team. You've got the book. You've got a better idea of giving a rundown of what the week looked like and what were the coupon busters.
Well, you could pretty much tell it wasn't going to be a good. It wasn't going to be a banner week predictions wise when the week started off with an absolute gimme, Ravens at Dolphins. Now everyone had that down as a road win, and obviously the Dolphins turned over the Ravens. So what are we supposed to think? So it was another week where there was 14 games, 14 points up for grabs to get the overall point for the week's predictions. So when I said it wasn't a banner week, in third place with 4.5 out of 14 picks correct. We'll come to the half in a little minute.
Jesus.
It's Mr. Andrew Cookley.
Are you kidding? 4.5? Is that because of the draw?
The half. So let's put it this way: we all got a half
because of the draw.
Because of the tie. So we all went for the Steelers against the Lions. The game finished as a tie. So technically we got the pick wrong, but we also would have got the pick wrong if we'd have picked the Lions. So I've just given us a half because what else are you supposed to give? Yeah, I think
4.5.
You got let down by some big hitters. So the only games you got correct were the Bills at the Jets, the Cowboys at home to the Falcons, the Colts at home to the Jags, and the Packers at home to the Seahawks. Every other game you got wrong. Mental.
Fantastic. That's
absolutely mental. Just one of those weeks. Definitely just one of those weeks where everything just went wrong for you. I'm one to talk because I only got 5.5 points.
I mean, that makes me feel a little better.
Exactly. So the only game that I had different to you was that I had the Chiefs to beat the Raiders, whereas you had the Raiders. But every other game is the same game that you picked. So what on earth happened that week is just baffling. So getting a point for the guest was last week's guest, Mr. Two Teams Hurley himself, Matthew, with 6.5 points out of 14. Now,
wow.
Matthew's wins were comprised of the Bills against the Jets again, the Cowboys over the Falcons, the Titans over the Saints, the Vikings over the Chargers, the Packers over the Seahawks, and the Chiefs over the Raiders. Again, his half coming from the Steelers tie with the Lions, giving him 6.5 out of 14 points and securing an all-important second point for the guest this season. So the overall week's standings after week 10, we have yourself, Andy, and the guest both on 2 points, and I maintaining that 4-point lead on 6 points overall at the top of the weeks. Listen, there's still 8 weeks left. It is all to play for. All it takes is it just takes a run, a couple of weeks. You getting some picks right. I mean, right back up there, or even the guest for this week. Let's see how her picks pan out for this week, and we'll see what happens. We'll just see
at this point in time, I, or indeed the guest, would have to beat you every week for the rest of the season.
Yeah, but it doesn't take both of you.
No.
So just one of you or the guest would have to win 4 weeks just to tie. So
I'm not hopeful. I'm not going to lie. But this is the week. This is the week to turn it around.
We'll see. But that is last week's games, and what is a perfect side dish to last week's games would be some stats about last week's games.
But before you get your side dish, probably best to order some drinks. So let's talk some fantasy. So, did you or did you not have a win at the weekend?
So, listeners or viewers of the podcast from the last couple of years will know that whenever I go up against Mr. Matthew Hurley, some absolute shenanigans goes on behind the scenes where I normally lose the game by a handful of points that have been plucked from the far reaches of the netherworld or something like that.
I don't know, like if a kicker got like a 60-plus yard field goal.
Listen, everyone knows that every kicker starts the game in fantasy having nailed a 60-yard plus field goal, yeah?
Yeah.
No, actually, wait a minute. I've misread. Sorry. None of the kickers in fantasy start with a guaranteed plus 60-yard field goal, apart from Tyler Bass this weekend, who just happened to be on Matthews' roster.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
It's all right, though, because by the start of the 9 o'clock games, that little snafu had been rectified, and Mr. Bass was back to his actual point score, and then I subsequently crushed Matthews' team and took home the W.
It's like a W, like a VW. I, on the other hand, took on the Stats Mistress. I didn't like my chances. It was a heavy buy/injury week for this young man. However, and I know we don't talk about other fantasy teams, other fantasy leagues outside of our fantasy league, but I had double dubs. I had the double dub. 2 wins. Almost unheard of for either of my fantasy teams. I am keeping the Stats Mistress company. We are holding down the very bottom of the league table. And I'm doing exactly the same in my other league. But I did have a couple of wins. So we'll see how this week goes. So, onto the side dish, and that side dish is stats. Now, unfortunately, with no guest, that means that not one but 15 meaty stats are shared between myself, my glamorous co-host. To save you lot having to listen to my terrible reading, I did give Paul the lion's share of the stats, because some of these stats are long. Now then, these are the 2021 season week 10 stats, brought to you by this week's guest, the Stats Mistress, and brought to her by Nate Davis of USA Today. Now, I don't know which one of them is responsible for the first stat, but if either of you are listening, I'm coming for you, okay? I'm coming for you. I wish I was playing her this week so that I could drop many points. Stat number 1. And just reading the first line. This is war, ladies and gentlemen. Depending on your personal opinion, the coolest / most annoying story of Sunday. How about Cam Newton's return to action with the Carolina Panthers? Piss off. For whom he played his first 9 seasons, including an MVP campaign in 2015. It's not all he got in 2015, is it? Big sack of money. But Newton was re-signed last week and made a near instant impact. They were all like, oh, where are we going to hang our coats? Running and throwing for a touchdown on his first 2 touches to kick off his second stint with the team. Newton, who didn't start and played sparingly, finished with 14 yards rushing and 8 passing as Carolina demolished the undermanned Arizona Cardinals, who entered the week with the NFL's best record at 8-1. But it was 34-10 at the end. As I may have mentioned earlier, I might have jumped all over the stats, because stat number 2 is Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson returned on Sunday post finger surgery. And for the first time with Wilson under centre in his 166 career starts, suffered a shutout in an uneventful game against the Packers with returning quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Neither quarterback threw for a touchdown, but did combine for 3 interceptions. Number 3, been a lot of nicknames thrown around for the New York Jets backup quarterback Mike White. White Mike, Jersey Mike, White Lightning and Magic Mike among them. Let's add Off-White following his 4 interception performance in a 45-17 loss to the Buffalo Bills. Except Jets rookie Zach Wilson back under centre very soon. Number 4, despite losing running back Derrick Henry, the Tennessee Titans 8-2 have a league best 6-game winning streak and a 1.5 game lead over the Bills and Baltimore Ravens for the AFC's number 1 playoff seed. Interesting. Number 5, the New England Patriots have won 4 in a row. Only the Titans are hotter, have worked their way up to 6th place in the AFC, and are just half game behind Buffalo in the AFC East. Number 6, it didn't take long for the Los Angeles Rams signing of wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. to shift from luxury to serendipity after incumbent number 2 wide receiver Robert Woods tore his ACL in practice on Friday. OBJ made his debut for LA on Monday night against the San Francisco 49ers and could actually have a significant role in light of Woods' injury. You know what's worse? If you've traded for Rob Woods and the week of that injury, that'd be awful. That would.
It's a rather unfortunate situation, isn't it? Yeah.
Honestly, I was so tempted to go to the JFG and be like, got a trade offer for you. I've got Robert Woods and I don't know, a sack of coal for my player back. You know, I'm pretty sure I had a very dominant week this week as well. Number 7 and my final stat of the week is this. I mean, the pair of them have had my pants down this week. Are the Dallas Cowboys the best team in the NFL? Who knows, given how this season is unfolding, but after trouncing the Falcons 43-3, Dallas's largest blowout in 21 years, they have as good a case as anyone, especially when you consider Atlanta began the weekend in the NFC's projected playoff bracket. This is a little bit aside to that, but I've seen over the course of the day a video floating around where CD Lamb basically headbutts Dak Prescott whilst wearing his helmet. Cuts his face open. And Dak's just like, I haven't got a helmet on. I haven't got a helmet on. He's like, oh, sorry. And then he's like, oh, I'm bleeding. And then it's all he talked about after that. Like, they're in the huddle. And he's like, yeah, you like headbutting me. And yeah, this is like, and I'm like,
Is that
nothing else.
What I thought you were going to say was about the fact that at some point during the game, it was 28-3 to the Dallas Cowboys. And obviously the guy who's in charge of the Falcons' Twitter was obviously quick on the money and put out a statement that just said, yeah, we know. So I think there was a couple of people out there just thinking, well, a couple of Falcons fans out there thinking, hang on a second, 28-3. 28-3. Where do I know that score from? Oh, that's right, it was the Super Bowl from a couple of years back. Yeah, that.
Oops. Oops. I know.
Retreat! Right then, so I will continue the stats with, sticking on the Cowboys thing, the Cowboys' Dan Quinn became the first coach to defeat a team he previously guided to the Super Bowl as a head coach, the 2016 Falcons, while serving as the defensive coordinator for another club. And Dallas's defense was surely ready for Atlanta, limiting the Dirty Birds to 214 yards, 11 first downs, and 4 yards per play while forcing 3 turnovers. Rumours of the Kansas City Chiefs' demise were apparently greatly exaggerated. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes exploding for 406 passing yards and 5 touchdowns as Kansas City trounced the Raiders 41-14 in Las Vegas. Projected playoff outsiders going into Week 10, the Chiefs, winners of the past 5 AFC West crowns, once again reside atop the division. Meanwhile, the spiralling Raiders, 5-4, don't currently qualify as a postseason team, but are still in the thick of a tight wildcard race. That division is mental.
Yeah.
I think every team is on 5 wins.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. After getting upset by the previously 2-6 Washington football team, shout out to the Britain, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 0-1 after their 2021 bye week. They were 8-0, including a wild card win at FedEx Field after the bye in 2020, on their way to winning Super Bowl 55. A little bit of positive news now. The league won't have its first 0-17 team in 2021. Though it could still feature a winless one after the Lions 0-8-1 and Steelers stumbled their way to a 16-16 tie in what appeared like your proverbial no one wants to win this game contest. Amid 15 penalties, 3 Pittsburgh turnovers, 24 combined failures to convert on third down, and Detroit kicker Ryan Santoso missing a point after touchdown and a 48-yard field goal try in overtime. That kick was crazy because if you watched it, it just looked as if someone had got a touch on it and it just died. It just lost all sort of speed and stuff like that. When you watch it back, no, he just fluffed the kick. So bad.
It was the weirdest game. It was literally like the we don't want. Is that episode of South Park where nobody wants to win the game? And it's like, what's happening in this game?
It was weird.
Obviously, when it went into overtime, it was like, I mean, just one score and we're good. Just what, even if it's the Lions, and then we can all go home. But
absolutely unbelievable. Sticking with that game, Pittsburgh outside linebacker T.J. Watt picked up his 62nd career sack in only his 70th regular season appearance, one more than brother J.J. and Hall of Famer Derek Thomas recorded in their first 70 games. Only legendary Reggie White, 79 sacks, got off to a faster 70-game start.
He took quite a bad knock on Sunday.
Yeah, I think they were thinking he might miss a few games. I think.
Yeah, it looked bad.
A lot of reports come back with us. Quarterback Lamar Jackson, whom USA Today Sports NFL experts handicapped as the league's first half MVP, threw the first red zone interception of his 55-game career in the Ravens' uninspired loss to the Miami Dolphins on Thursday night. A couple of stats left, and they're both about game management. So, best game management decision of the weekend goes to Washington coach Ron Riverboat Rivera, who had his team take a knee out of the 2-point conversion formation after going up 29-19 with 29 seconds left in the game. Worst game management decision of the weekend, however, goes to Denver coach Vic Fangio, who went for it on 4th down at the end of the third quarter rather than kick a field goal to cut Philadelphia's lead to 4. Instead, Eagles cornerback Darius Slay returned a Melvin Gordon fumble 83 yards for a touchdown that basically put the game out of the Broncos' reach. Now, would that have been an 83-yard touchdown return if Teddy Bridgewater had decided to make a tackle? Have you not seen all this yet? There's like clips of one guy just basically, the Slay just waltzes past a guy who sort of like, sticks out a half-hearted limb to see if he can bring the guy down, and it turns out it's Teddy Bridgewater. And people have been slamming him for him pretty much ever since. Not good.
No, it's not
good.
So, that there is week 10 in the books. And those are the history books, not the prediction books. History. Done, dusted, closed. All that then means is that we get to look forward in time, to this week's games. This week's games are week 11 of the 2021 season, and we are definitely, get your glasses ready, the season's almost over, let's face it. We're basically at the Super Bowl, with a few games in between. So, as I mentioned, and anybody who can see and hear us, there is no visible or audible guest, but that doesn't mean that we didn't get some guest picks. The Stats Mistress has offered up her picks for this week's games, and I know obviously I've offered up my picks, so all that's left to do is find out how those picks stack up against Paul's picks and see where we're going to be seeing differences, similarities, and who's going to win this week. Let's find out. Paul.
Well, as seems to have been the case for the majority of this season, a lot of this week's picks are all consensus across the board picks. So we start the week off with a repeat of that Super Bowl that was mentioned previously. The Patriots travelling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons on the Thursday Night Football. We've all decided to travel with the hot hand there and gone for the Patriots to get the win. Next up, we have the Lions travelling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. We've all gone for the Browns to get the win there. It's one of those games that smells of Lions have got the taste of not losing, sorry, to use proper England there. Hello. There's our guest. There's this week's guest on the podcast. Lovely stuff. So we've all gone for the Browns to beat the Lions. Our first difference of opinion comes in our next game, where the Saints travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Both myself and Andy have gone with the Saints to get the victory, whereas Leanne has picked the Eagles in this game. She obviously liked what she saw against Denver at the weekend. So next up, we've got an AFC East battle where the Dolphins take on the Jets. We've all gone for the Dolphins. Next, we've got Washington at the Panthers, and we've all taken the Panthers. We've got the Colts at the Bills, and we've all gone for the Bills. 49ers at Jags. Again, we've all gone for the 49ers. Texans at Titans in what could only be described as the massacre of the week. And surprisingly enough, we've all gone for the Titans to win that one. Packers at Vikings. No great shock as to who we've picked there. Ravens at Bears. We've all gone for the Ravens. Another difference of opinion here with the Bengals at the Raiders. Both myself and Andy have gone for the Bengals. Leanne's gone for the Raiders to snap that losing streak.
I struggled on this pick, but ultimately I looked at it and went, the Raiders have had a bit of a stumble, and I say it pretty much every week. I am loving Bengals football. So
coming off the bye, the Bengals as well, so they'll be nice and rested.
Fresh.
To take this one on.
Fresh.
4 games left, so we have the Cardinals at the Seahawks. Both me and Leanne have picked the Cardinals to carry on building those wins to put them towards the number 1 seed, whereas Andy is keeping the faith with his Seahawks boys. Next up, game of the week, especially in my eyes, Dallas Cowboys at the Kansas City Chiefs. Could it even be a Super Bowl preview?
No.
Probably not, but you know. So, me and Andy have both gone for the home team Chiefs to get the win here, whereas Leanne has taken the Cowboys. Interesting stuff.
Really?
Wouldn't be so. That was one of those games where it was a 50-50 shot for me.
Yeah, I looked at that and I was like, do you know something? I think the way the Cowboys are working at the moment, they could win it because the Chiefs, up until literally last week, the Chiefs have looked awful. I was watching something the other day that was saying, I saw two things. One that was saying basically the fate of the Chiefs rests solely in Patrick Mahomes' hands. And I was like, this is the problem with teams these days. You have one player, that player gets injured, and that team is done. But then I saw something obviously after the game that was like Patrick Mahomes has obviously pulled his proverbial finger out, and the Chiefs looked dominant again. So it was very much a game I looked at. I was like, and then I just went, do you know something? I'm going to give the Chiefs that opportunity to continue what they may have started, and we'll have to see next week.
Yeah, I was the same as you. I think it's just one of those games where the Chiefs are at home, the support will be massive in that particular game, and it's just obviously the Cowboys had that stumble a couple of weeks ago against the Broncos, and it's not really much of an argument. The Chiefs are a better team than the Broncos, so we'll see. So we've got the two primetime games left for next week. So we have the Steelers at the Los Angeles Chargers. Steelers banged up, looking like they're going to be missing a lot of people.
Yeah.
No Big Ben for the second week in a row. I think TJ Watt is slated to miss the game.
I mean, when they slowed that hit down, I was like, that's a potential season ender. Now, admittedly, he was walking around on the sidelines, and I'm pretty sure he went back into the game, a couple of plays later and stuff. Obviously, he's, what was he, like $106 million player or something, so, but the Steelers have been bleeding players as the season's gone on. Juju went out early, and it's...
You do tend to get that. Like it seems as though each season there seems to be one team that just gets snake bit with injuries, and they seem to lose a skill position player each week.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this season it does seem as though it is the Steelers that team that just seems to be a bit hampered with that. No surprises there. We've all gone for the Chargers to get the win there. And last up on the Monday Night Football, oh dear, it's the New York Giants going up against the revenge-seeking Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I mean, it's got all the hallmarks of a 40 burger for the Bucs for me. Big time blowout. We'll see, I suppose. But we've all gone for the Bucs. Shocker. And that right there is the Week 11 predictions.
Wow.
Done and dusted.
Wow. So, at this point in time, I'm pretty sure that is all of the business that we like to conduct here on the Laces Out podcast, but that just leaves the last question, and that last question is there any other business? I don't believe I've got anything. Sometimes I like to sneak stuff in at the end. No, I don't think I've got anything. So, that's that. We will be here next week talking Week 11 games, predicting Week 12 games, and generally just...
Next week's a biggie as well. It's Thanksgiving week next week.
Indeed it is. Which means that you get a whole day of American football. And isn't that Delightful. All that leaves is for me to say thank you to everybody who's listening or watching along. Big thank you to all of our amazing subscribers. Big thank you to my co-host for joining me, taking you guys through that ball from over the pond. Until next week, we shall see you then. Tatty bye.
So there you go. What do you think to that? Another week gone, another week of games gone, another week of games to look forward to. If you are checking us out, do subscribe. Wherever you're getting your podcasts, you can subscribe and it's awesome. You can check out our website, thecookiecast.com. We've got all our social media links and our email link over there so you can drop us a line. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye and I'll see you then.